Hello, guys, and welcome back to Pop Culture Addicts. I am Tim. I am your host, and this is a reminder that you are watching a show that is made by nerds for nerds. So, welcome to this here nerdy show. Now, our guest today is an exceptional voice actor and a book narrator. Now, you've heard him on shows and movies like Aquaman, Spiderman Into the Spider-Verse, Hotel Transylvania 2 and 3. He was so good, they brought him back for the third. Orange is the New Black, Grownish, The Morning Show, and I could keep going. He has a really cool IMDb resume. You can check that out. We'll put that link down in the show notes down below so you guys can see everything that today's mystery guest has accomplished. But in our chat tonight, we're going to discuss his origin story, the process used to help bring his characters to life, and possibly even what the future holds for him as we move forward through this giant, crazy, blue spinning globe of death. I'm a little bitter today. It's fine. We'll get past it. Anyway, help me in welcoming Joe Sanfelippo to Pop Culture Addicts. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, you
all right,
went through the whole resume. That's great.
Yeah, I try a little bit. I like to try and set the table, let people know what they're getting themselves in for, especially when it's a voice actor and book narrator. You guys, you guys are like all over the place. You do a little bit over here, you do a little bit over there. And then when you think you got you guys figured out, that, and then they pop up on some weird project somewhere else, go, oh, yeah, they did that too.
Oh yeah, dude. I think the best way I've ever come up with to describe it is like, you remember George of the Jungle when we were kids, if you were ditching school, and he would be reaching for a vine. I feel like it's very much like that. You swing from one vine and then they kick you off the vine. They're like, you're the voice of XYZ company, and then you're not. And then you're reaching for another vine, and you're like, I'd love to reach the vine before I hit the ground. That'd be really great. And hopefully you grab one.
Pretty please.
Please.
Pretty please.
Would someone like to drop me a nice vine? But
I'd rather not go splat.
Yep. But that's,
right.
I think that's the gig.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's pretty accurate with most things in life. But from what I've talked, the number of voice actors that I've talked to over the years, I would say that's probably fairly accurate.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So the first question I like to ask anyone, Joe, unless they've been on the show multiple times, the very first question I like to ask is about what they do and why they do it. And there's a two-part reason for this. Number one, I like to know what makes people tick, and it helps me to identify with you as an artist, as a creator, as to what you do, if I understand why you do it, how you got involved with it. The second part of that is I'm a giant nerd, and nerds love a good origin story. So as the hero of our story today, Joe Sanfelippo, what made you say, I need to be in entertainment?
Honestly, it is the only thing I was ever any good at. So when I was a kid, I went to Catholic school, and every Christmas we would do like a Christmas pageant thing in church. Everybody would get up and sing, and each class would get up and sing a song. And I sang so loudly and so off key that the teachers would tell me, "Hey, Joey, you're gonna mouth the words." I'm gonna mouth the words. Yeah, Joe, you're gonna mouth the words. And so because I would sing so loud and so off key, I'd fuck up the kids around me. So the teachers were like, "This dipshit, we can't even let him sing." So I think it was maybe third grade or fourth grade. And I go home to my mom, and I'm talking to her, and I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna do the pageant, but I mouth the words. I only mouth the words." And she's like, "Wait, what did you say?" And I said, I'm not allowed to sing. I get to mouth the words. That's what I get to do." And she's like, "What the fuck?" So she calls at school, and she's like, "Hey, what? Like, I know he's a dipshit, but you gotta let him sing."
I know he is.
And so they go like, "Peggy, look, he's so fucking loud, and he's so off. He's screwing up the kids around him." She's like, "Can you write him something? Can he say something? That'd be good." And so they would write these little skits that me and one of the other kids, Andrea Jacinto, would do. So we'd come out and we'd do some like introduction. Then she'd go back and join everybody else and sing because she was perfectly capable. And then my monkey ass would go down and sit in a pew because I was not able to, right? So that was, but I did like, right? Right? I mouth the words. So I I wish I was making that up. That's just a true story.
No,
So
it's so awful. It has to be
oh
true. That's the best
oh
part.
just a monkey. And so I really liked getting applauded for. That was neat. I liked that. And I liked being in front of people. Um, but as I got older, I got away from it, and I was trying to be an athlete, and I was terrible. I played football. I mean, I bricks for hands, good for shit. And I broke my shoulder really good my sophomore year, and the doctor's like, "Well, you
Okay.
can't play football anymore." He was telling me like my grandfather had died, and I was like, "Oh, that's terrible news." And then my mom was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna not do anything." So I swam for the rest of high school, but I was not interested really in theater at all. I had done it when I was a kid, like little. I'd done some theater, and then I was like,
Sure.
"Ah." And but my senior year, I had an elective open, and I took an acting class, and it was it's the only thing you couldn't fake. Does that make sense? Like if you
Right.
didn't do the work, everybody knew. Like if you didn't do the work
Oh, yeah.
and right and you fuck up a math test, you know that and the teacher knows that. That's it. Nobody else knows. But if you
Right.
don't do the work for a scene, or if you don't do the work for a monologue or whatever, everybody knows. So I had to do it. And I was like, "Oh, I'm pretty good at this." And I was like, "Okay, well, whatever." So I in junior college, so I had to go to junior college. Um I I was really lost. I had no idea what to do. And
Okay.
and I had a class near the theater, and I was walking past it, and I saw an audition sign up, and I thought, well, and I kind of I was looking at the sign, and like the theater, the lady that was head of the theater, um, Kathy Lewis, kind of saw me, and she's talking to me, and she's like, "Well, why don't you audition?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, it said it said it was like 2 days or whatever it was," and she's like, "Yeah, just come on audition." And so I came out and auditioned, and I got cast as Raymond Terwilliger. I don't remember what the name of the play was, but I remember my name because it was so ridiculous. And it was like the world opened up. I did the play, and I got to meet some really cool people. And then I got involved with a bunch of younger guys, but we were all young. Bunch of guys, we were about 18, 19, that were trying to put together an improv and sketch group. And I started doing that, and that was the most fun I'd ever had in my life. And improv it's you're up there on stage, you got nothing, you have no fucking plan, you have no script, and you just make it up as you go. And I mean, it was the most free I'd ever felt. It was the most fun I'd ever had. And so we did improv and sketch for years together. And improv groups and sketch groups are kind of like, you ever watch it Behind the Music on MTV, and
Yeah.
they talk about the band dynamics. Imagine a band, those same dynamics, but remove women and money, and now you have the exact same dynamics in an improv group. There's no women that are interested in us, and there's no money, but all the other dynamics are the same. There's one guy who's kind of like, he's got the real talent, and he's the one that the what you call it, the label would want to separate and all that.
Right.
All that stuff is there, but no groupies, no women were interested in us, and there was no money involved.
No fame,
But
no fortune, no women.
not, but all the drama. But we
All
had
the
a great
drama.
time, and one of my friends that was in the improv group, his brother wound up working for uh, 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 oh my God, Jerry Zucker. And
Okay.
Jerry was putting together. Jerry's the guy who directed Ghost. He and his
Yep.
brother wrote and directed Airplane, and
Yep.
and uh, and so he was putting together a sketch. In the meantime, I went to UCLA, and I got in as an actor because there was no way I was getting in on grades. Clearly, the mouth the words. So so I got to go to UCLA, met my wife there, and got her to fall in love with me. That was awkward, but it worked. And kept that I was a nerd from her for a good 10 years. I really did. And
That's
when
impressive.
Battlestar Galactica, yeah, I thought so. When Battlestar Galactica got rebooted, I was like, I have to tell her the truth. I was like, But
And let me disappoint you softly with
right,
this
I'm
news.
gonna tell you something now you may not believe. You married a giant nerd. We should start with Battlestar Galactica, and then I'm gonna talk a lot about Star Trek, and we'll see what happens. So Jerry put together this thing called National Banana, and it was before Funny or Die, and he was trying to create a website with a whole bunch of sketch and on it, and the idea was to kind of like to create just a big enough website with enough sketch on it that people it would become a destination. It didn't occur to him to crowdsource it like Funny or Die did,
Gotcha. Yeah.
and because it was before all that existed. So there was a bunch of us that got to be involved in that, and they made a pilot. And when they made the pilot, they were asking some of us if, hey, do you guys have any stand up? Do you have any? Yeah, we've done that. And so they asked us to come out, and I wound up with the lead in this pilot that we shot for TBS, and did not get picked up, obviously. But there was another guy on the pilot, and I did a bunch of VO for the pilot, and then I ended up hosting it. And there was another guy on the pilot. His name was Chris Shula. He was a fantastic actor and a really, really great VO guy. And he runs a publishing company back east. Now he's in Boston. Um, Really, really great guy. And so Chris and I were on the pilot together, and he and his wife were on Avalon Island, and my wife and I were leaving Catalina. We just kind of gone out for the day, and so we were walking back toward the boat. He and his wife were coming in, and he flagged me down. We had lunch, and he goes, "Who's your VO rep?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't have one." And he's like, "Seriously?" And I was like, "No, I don't have anybody." And he tied me in with my first voiceover agent, and it LA is not that kind of town. Nobody really does that. I mean, it's such a rarity that anyone will offer you like
Yeah.
their people, and so that's how I got started in VO, and I I, I got really you have to get lucky. I mean, I really believe that anything in entertainment, I think you have to be lucky before anything else
Yeah,
because
no, I believe that.
there's a million people trying to do what you do, and I think you got to get lucky, and once you get lucky, you gotta be good. Otherwise, you're not gonna get lucky anymore. So
Yeah.
so that's how that went. That's how I got into it. Um, and yeah, and it's been really really good to me. It's been and two of my daughters do voiceover.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, my daughter Lily is Lily's a champion. She's 18 now. She was the voice of Ghost Spider on uh for uh for Marvel's Spidey and His
Spidey
Amazing
and Friends.
Friends. Yep. And so
Nice.
she was Gwen Ghost Spider, and then she's been on Firebuds, and she was Axel on Firebuds, and she's done guest spots on Sophia the First, and the reboot of
Oh,
Sophia the
wow.
First, and she's done
Very
Gwen
cool.
for the Lego thing. She just works all the time. She's a little champ. And my daughter Violet has gotten to do some really cool stuff. She's just kind of starting out, and she got to do a couple little cartoon things that were really cool. So it's been really good to all of us, and you got to get lucky. Like I said, just sun shined on you that day.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So let's jump forward a little bit in your career. And by a little bit, I mean like to 2025, 2024, somewhere in there. Because you were the narrator and voice actor for a wonderful book from Joshua Pruett
Yes,
entitled, yeah, Gyro and the Argonauts, aka the best book ever written about a kid named after a sandwich. Um,
Gyro and the Argonauts. Yeah,
I freaking loved the book, and then I got the audiobook and I was listening to that, and I was so enamored by the narrator and not realizing. And if you go back and you watch the interview that I had with Josh, I did not realize that the narrator and the voice of Euro were done by the same person. I did not realize you were both.
yeah. You know what he told me? He's like, okay, here's who Gyro is. He's Michael J. Fox if he was in Greece and younger. I was like, okay, I can do that. That makes sense. Like, and then I was like, that just absolutely clicked for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes you pick something up and you don't need to do anything but look at it for 5 seconds, and you're like, "Oh, I get exactly what he's doing here." And Josh is such a good writer, and,
Oh, he's amazing.
oh, dude, okay, have you read Malcolm Gladwell's, Outliers?
I don't think I have, no.
Oh, it's a terrific book. He tries to figure out in this book, like, how what does excellence mean? What does it mean to be, to be an expert? And that remember that 10,000 hours thing, 10,000 hours to be an
Mhm.
expert?
Yeah,
That comes from that
yeah.
book. And so
Oh,
one of the
okay.
things he explores is nodes. And he has this theory that, well, I don't know if it's a theory. I think he's right. Um, because you can really break down that these nodes kind of happen in geographic locations. And from those nodes, you wind up with a whole bunch of people that are experts in some field. They just blossom out of this thing. And one of the things he talks about is one of the places he talks about is a town in England. I don't remember what the name of the town, but that all of the table tennis, all the ping pong champions for a few years came out of this one little town. And then he went to figure it out. And it turned out there was a guy who was into ping pong. He opened an all night ping pong bar thing in this town. All the kids got into it. They would spend their nights going and playing ping pong. And then a bunch of champions came out of it. And he talks about some of the biggest guys in tech got their start at these government funded internet stations. Essentially, they were like, hey, you could come
Okay.
and learn to code, and you could just, you could buy time and just learn to code. And a bunch of those guys that a bunch of the big names that we all kind of grew up with, their parents just went and paid, however many bucks, $15 for them to learn how to
Right.
code a few hours at a time. And they've started these massive companies. So Josh and my wife both come from Vista, California, which is North County, San Diego, and they've got a theater down there called the Moonlight Amphitheater, and they've got a handful of equity contracts, and then they fill in with local talent and local kids, and it's a really accessible place that people can see, that they know that they can get into, and it's so there's the ton of musical theater actors, musicians, composers, writers that have come out of this little teeny area. And I've got to believe it's a little node. Like there's a handful of people that kind of like laid this really
Sure.
rich soil down, and they kind of bubbled up out of it.
No, that makes
It's
a lot of
really
sense to
cool,
me, especially, if look at areas that are hotbeds for, any type of professional sport. It's because
dude.
there's people who invest in that area, and they're making it so that young ones coming up have somewhere to go practice that sport, play that sport against other people, do the things that are needed to get better at that thing,
Hundred
you know?
percent, 100%. And
Yeah.
then you look at like there's when I was a kid, it was West Hills baseball in the Valley. Well, the San Fernando Valley, which is part of LA. Um, West Hills produced tons of Major League Baseball players, and it was just the spot, that these guys would go
Mhm.
and play ball growing up, and then it was so competitive and it was so hardcore that they wound up being able to move into the majors. It's really cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, with your work on Euro and the Argonauts, there's instances, and I'm sure there's other instances like this project where you have more than one character, you're doing more than one voice. Now, in the instance of, in those instances, do you prefer to just plow through the lines and just get it all done at one time, or do you like to read them individually, or do you, as who was it? I can't remember I can see his face and I can't think of his name, but he said that he likes to have chaotic voice swap conversations in the
Yeah,
booth.
yeah.
You
I
know,
think it's easier. It's easier to edit, honestly. Um, and and um, and if you're trying to do multiple tracks, frankly, it's a pain in the ass, and you got to try and figure out where to. Oh shit, where did I put that? And then and you got long, and you're like, ah. So I think it is easier, and if it there are people who are they're so goddamn good. There are people who are
yeah.
so ridiculously good that they can really do. I mean, you literally can't tell it's the same person. It's so nuts, and I don't think I'm that good, but I think there's but I like to do it in real time if I can. And sometimes you
Okay.
screw it up. And sometimes you do the voice of whatever, and then you come out of it to go back to narration, and the first 5 words still sound like the dude, and you're like, nope, stop, come on, like, allow me to make a declarative statement here. And now and then he turned left. No, he didn't. Shit, I did. Fuck, go back. So yeah,
Yeah, that makes more sense. And I think that for somebody like myself, outside looking in, I think it would be, if you have the ability to swap back and forth, the chaotic swap conversations to me just sound like they'd be more, actually less chaotic.
yeah,
And just, hey, let's just get it done. And if I can hop back and forth between the voices, go for it. If you can keep them straight.
yeah.
So
That's it. Yeah, and you do get it's a muscle. You get better and better. I used to highlight everything different colors. I used to do all this. I mean, it would take
sure,
days.
yeah.
And now it I've been doing it long enough now. It's in there and it's good.
Okay.
But man, and back in the day, I'd have highlighters going. I'd have on iAnnotate, you'd have 7 different colors and shit. And but they're fun. They're fun as hell. Books are fun. It is the hardest work I've ever done in voiceover. It's by far. It's not even close.
Oh, the book narration?
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm one of those idiots who I don't know. I'm the guy who's like, hey, I got to do a project. I got to put up a fence. It'll take me 3-4 hours. No big deal. You're gonna put up a fence in 3 or 4 hours? Stupid. Is that what you think you're gonna do? And that I've always been that like, well, I'll just do that real quick.
Can't be that hard.
Yeah. Well, so I think the first time I did a book, I was like, what the fuck? You have to stay in the
What
pocket.
I get myself into.
Oh my God. But I'm thankfully stubborn. So it's like, okay, no.
There you go.
You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out.
You're going to suck it up, Buttercup.
You suck it up. I do.
It was OG Banks. That's who I was talking to. OG Banks. Great voiceover actor. He was in the Amazing Spider-Man show. He was Power Man, Luke Cage, and also the voice of Miles, and the voice of Miles Morales in that. And there's a screen. There's a scene there a couple scenes where he's as Power Man Luke Cage talking to Miles, and they got to go back and forth. And those are two distinctly different voices.
That's rad.
So yeah, so that's all of a sudden that just popped back in my brain.
Isn't that, dude? I'm so impressed. When I got to work on like you mentioned on Hotel Transylvania 2 and 3, and what they did for those is they brought a bunch of people in, and so they had the cast, and then they had a bunch of monsters that they hadn't even finished animating yet. They just had sketches for, and so you're in this room at I think we were at Sony, and they went around the room real quick. No, they didn't. They did that later. I'm sorry. So you're in this room at Sony, and I'm looking around, and there's a ton of people, and I'm like, well, what? Okay. So the director comes in. He's like, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna slap a monster up on the screen. If you got a character, jump up, take it. I was like, oh shit, okay, shit, and I okay, and I didn't know that I was in the room with the Animaniacs, and I mean, there was just like animation legends in this room. Yeah. I had no idea, and so they start putting these monsters up on the wall, and people are jumping up with characters. I'm like, what the fuck? I had no idea what room I was in. And so, we're coming up on lunch, and I haven't gotten shit up there, and I'm like, oh God, come on. Doesn't matter. Whatever the next one that comes up is, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is, you fucking do it. And I jumped up and it was fine. It's in the movie. It worked. But so we take lunch, and they bring in a Make-A-Wish kid, and we were like, oh gosh. And Deborah, I can't remember her last name, from Mad TV. She was one of the other VO actors on it. Yeah, I think so. Wilson. And so she takes the kid around, and she lines us all up. I mean, it was very much like when you're in grade school, and there's that one girl in charge. You remember that there's at least where I went to grade school, there was, and so it was all of a sudden we were all in grade school again. She's like, all right, everybody line up against the wall. We're like, oh, we're gonna get picked for basketball. I'm getting picked last. Damn it. So and she goes down the line, and she's like, okay, tell I don't remember the Make-A-Wish kid's name, but tell her what you've done, and tell her what you're most famous for. And I was like, And so as we go down the line, like one by one, they're introducing themselves, and I'm like, "I've been listening to you my whole life. I've been listening to you my whole life. I've been listening. What the fuck room am I in?" And it gets to me, and at the time, Ever After High was still running, and that was, I was the narrator on Ever After High, and I was like, "Oh god, I hope this kid knows Ever After High, otherwise I'm just this useless, tall lump of nothing." And
I'm Joe.
I mouth the words.
I mouth the words, exactly.
So you get to me, and I'm like, please no Ever After High," and I was like, "I'm the narrator on Ever After High." She goes, "I love Ever." I'm like, "Thank God." But it was something, man, and so we're going to lunch, and now I'm like, I'm almost glad I didn't know when we started because I think I would have just been frozen. But it is so remarkable to hang out with such incredibly talented people who are so god blessed good. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think the women who get to be in this business, they have to be so much better than the men. The men, we can lean back on having deep voices. There's some leftover monkey shit, I think is what Joe Rogan calls it, which I think is such a great way to describe it. Just leftover monkey shit. That like honest to God, man, like
Yeah.
deep voice, and you're tall. Oh, he knows what's going on, and you know, my whole life. But I used to narrate when they reopened the observatory out here in LA. They reopened the observatory, in the Griffith Observatory. They used to have star shows where the guys putting them on were astrophysicists, and they would design a show, and they had the giant gears and the big, the big looked like an ant, and they would project the stars with just light. And then when they reopened, they brought in a new laser system. So kind of like a proto version of the Sphere in Vegas.
Right.
Very,
Okay.
very proto version of the Sphere in Vegas. But the shows were beautiful, and they wanted to have live narration, so they brought in voiceover people. And so we originally it was who cares, but so they brought in VO people, and so I did that show for a while, and it was such a wild thing. They wrote a good script, very careful, great script for us, and they put it together, really, really beautiful shows. If you're ever in LA, you should check it out. The shows are gorgeous, and
Okay.
and but I'd be standing there next to an actual astrophysicist, or next to a doctor, a literal theoretical physicist,
Right.
and
Yeah.
people, and he'd say something to someone, and they'd look at me. Did he say the right thing? I'm like, I don't even know what he said. I am not capable of understanding the concepts that this man just said. I can't even do it. But there's
I
something
can't
about
repeat the words he just said. He did
right.
not write them down for me.
No, he was talking. There's a lot of math. Um, there were sons
They
involved.
didn't they didn't give me the script. I couldn't
No,
know afterwards.
they didn't tell me what he was going to say. I don't know. So, so but it was really something like it really hit me at that oh, this is not because you know anything. This is because you sound like you should. And so they'll look to
Right.
you like,
Yeah.
well, did what the genius over there say? Is it correct? So I
Good.
think
Yeah,
that
we'll go with that.
right. I'm out of the word. So I think there's a if you're tall and you have a deep voice, there's an automatic authority, and I think a lot of the men in VO, we get to lean back on that. And women have to be so much more dynamic. And God, the women that are successful in this business are so fucking good.
Amazing.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, they're so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's humbling as hell, man.
Yeah.
I got to work
There's
with
some amazing actresses out
oh,
there.
dude, I got to work with Debbie Derryberry once, and she's the voice of Jimmy Neutron and
Yes.
Draculara, and I mean a million other things, and she's so fucking brilliant. Like we're doing
Yes.
this commercial together, and she was like, I think we did like 3 or 4 takes, and she's like, "He has everything he needs. We're gonna be here for another hour, but he has everything he needs." And I'm like, "Oh," and yeah, sure as shit. She had given him every conceivable way he could have put this thing together because she saw it, she heard it, she knew exactly what it was supposed to be, and I mean, the level of fucking brilliant that lady brings. I mean, she's still working like crazy.
Yeah.
She's
She's
unbelievable.
amazing.
Oh, humbling as hell. Um But
All
yeah,
right.
the ladies that get to play in this sandbox are fucking incredible.
I would agree. All right, so I have a question for you from a longtime listener and follower of the show. They wanted me to ask you a question. So here it goes. How do your impressive dance skills affect or influence your acting skills?
I can't dance. Dance?
Yeah.
I have no dance ability that I am aware of.
Okay.
None.
Well, that'll be disappointing for them.
I
But
apologize. My wife owns a dance studio, and I've done the dad's dance many, many times, but it is
okay,
tragic. It is tragic every time. There nothing you it is very sad.
it's a very sad
There
dad dance.
there's nothing worse. Actually, it's nothing funnier. It's actually charming. But there's a whole bunch of middle-aged dads who will get up on stage and we'll do the dance. Our kids will come out at the end. But I have no dance skills that I'm aware of. None. Not one.
Okay. Well, maybe you'll have a better answer for their follow-up question. The follow-up question is, does talking with your hands make you feel more authentically Italian?
I don't think I have to try and feel it. The Dago's built in. There's nothing you can do about it. The, we can't help it. We're built this way. I wouldn't date one of us. I think we're a pain in the ass. But the hand talking now I'm like, no, now I won't. Now I'll fold my hands. Whatever, fine. I don't think we can help it. There's nothing we can do. I could do the hand gestures below, but that looks weird as hell.
Well, yeah, especially when we're only filming from the waist up.
That's what I'm saying. This is creepy looking. Put them back up.
You have to blur out half your camera to be able to post the video. So. Well, Zombie TARDIS, I hope that answers your questions.
I know him. He writes good stuff. He's funny.
So I sent Josh a message and so for those of you who aren't or are playing the home version of this, Zombie TARDIS is the author Joshua Pruett, also writer for Phineas and Ferb and all the fun things. Anyway,
he's got an Emmy. He's got an Emmy. He's got a trophy.
He's an Emmy winner. He's pretty badass. But I wrote Josh a quick message today. I'm like, hey, I'm talking to Sanfelippo tonight. You got any fun questions for him? Those are the questions he sent.
That seems right.
So
that seems right. That all.
I'm like, I gotta ask him. All right. So let's get back to a serious question.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the process of character creation. So when you're starting something new, you've got a new project. Now I've talked with voice actors for a few years and I've gotten different answers to this question. Some prefer all I need is an image and they don't even need a description and they see what the character looks like and they're off and running. Some just want the description or so is there a way that you like to define the pathway that becomes the character you're voicing?
I think every time it's different. It really depends on what the writers are willing to give you. Willing is the wrong term, but whatever the writers are going to give you. Sometimes I don't think they know what they want, and sometimes they absolutely to the letter know what they want. I find that what works for me is you just treat it like any other acting job, and so you're not trying to go too far from yourself because you can't really. That's not going to be authentic. It's not going to be believable anyway.
Right.
And so for me, I like to try and just be the version of whatever the thing is, at whatever version of that I think I would be. And then, so if you're playing some sort of a blood demon or something and in a video game, you want to be the version of a blood demon that you think you would be. And they're going to give you the circumstances. They're going to give you all the stuff around it. So, but ultimately, I think it's like any other acting job. It has to be really close to you. Otherwise, you sound like you're full of shit. So, and you won't get the job. That's kind of the deal.
No, yeah, you're probably right on that.
So that's what works for me. But the nice thing in VO is you can be 100 years old. You can be 17 years. Well, I probably can't do 17 anymore, but I could, probably mid-20s if I really. Nah, probably not. You can do 107 or you can do 30s. You can do anything in between, and then you're really the cadence. At least for me, I try and mix the cadence up as much as I can.
Sure.
from character to character, because that's an easy way in real time to change how it's perceived. But uh, but a lot of the time it starts as a sketch, right? And you can sketch out a character, and that's going to be kind of a template. And then as you work through it, it'll fill in, and hopefully you get somewhere close to authentic, or as close as you can
Okay.
get.
Well, let's continue on that thought of authentic then, because when we're talking about characters and characters, that you've created, and I would assume that it's like any other job. There are parts of the job that are easy, there are parts of the job that are difficult. And sometimes the parts that are easy is because it comes naturally to you. So when we're talking about voicing a character, is there one that came just like instant natural to you, 100% authentic? This is who I feel this thing needs to be, and it made it easier for you to voice that character.
Yeah, most of the ones you book are that way. You just you read the copy and it just feels right. You just do it, and it sounds and feels right. And
Okay.
uh it's a and that's the nice thing about that is it's always a joy, because it's whatever it is, it's really close to you and it felt very natural. And
Sure.
so when you go to re-record, or if it's a campaign, if you go to keep going with the campaign, or if it's a cartoon that you're on for, when you go to work, you're not pulling teeth. You're doing something that's natural. I think the hardest ones are if you book something that's a real out there wild stretch for you, and then then if you got to come back and do it again, you're like, oh shit, what did I do? Um,
Right.
can
Okay.
can you guys play me what I did last time? And you're like listening to it, you're like, oh, what the fuck was I doing? And you're trying to figure it out. Those are really, really hard. But you don't book many of those, honestly. You really do.
Right. Yeah.
There's so many of us that I think you really do wind up in a pocket that is pretty comfortable. Um, for the most part. At least that's been my experience with it. And I know there's people that do wild ups and down voices. So I mean that's
Right.
so
Yeah.
so I'll only speak for me. Um uh I keep freaking out. I see myself. I haven't shaved in 10 years. I did a video game this morning, and this is the first time I've shaved in 10 years, and it is freaking me out not to have a beard. I'm looking at your beard. I'm jealous as hell. I don't know why. They're like, hey, if you get this video game has you on avail for it, if you get it, they're gonna make you shave. I was like, I don't think they mean me. And the agent's like, no, they mean you. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't think so. And they're like okay, you work on Thursday, you have to shave. And I was like, they really meant it. Oh, they
They
really meant it.
they really meant it.
I didn't
I was
see
gonna
that
say
coming.
all the photos that I have found online of you were all
Mm.
with beard.
Yeah. I'm really, really, really struggling with this 19-year-old me right here. That's freaking me out, man. It's it's challenging.
Well, at least
My
you don't have a
youngest
baby face, so I mean, it's
dude, I was so grateful there was still a chin. I was like, Jesus, please be a chin left.
Oh my God, it's there!
Oh, thank you, Jesus. My youngest daughter came back from school, and I told her, I was like, hey, I got to shave, blah blah blah, right? And she's like, you shouldn't do it. And I was like, no, I got to do it. And she's like, just tell me you won't do it. And I'm like, that's not how this works. So so I was like, just so you
That's
know,
not
you
how
come
any of
home from
this works.
school, right? So she comes home, and she sits there in the living room with me, and she's cocky. She's a little 10-year-old cocky, and she's got her mom's phone, and she's talking to me while she's scrolling on her mom's phone, and she looks up and she's like, "Oh my God! Oh my God, Dad, it's so ugly! It's so ugly! It's so ugly! Oh my God!" And she goes running upstairs, and I'm like, "Oh Jesus, that went worse than I thought it would go." Oh.
Um, yeah,
I knew
I
it would
love
be bad.
those. I love those beard reveal videos where they shave
Yes!
off their beard.
That's exactly what it
Yeah,
felt like.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
anyway,
all right. All right, Joe, you've answered all the questions admirably. It is now time to ask you a silly question.
I'm listening. What do
All
we
right.
got?
All right. So it's not all that silly, but we like to call it a silly question. It comes from so one of the team members here at Pop Culture Addicts. Her name is Kathleen. and Kathleen is one of our co-hosts. And her and her daughter were out and about one afternoon, and somebody asked Kathleen's daughter this question, but not Kathleen, and she was like, "What the damn hell? Why didn't you ask me this question? You should never age out of this question." And that question is, I wanted to see how many times I could say question in a span of sentences. I think I hit 6. Anyway, that question is, Joe Sanfelippo, what's your favorite dinosaur?
That's a really solid question. I think it's the Brontosaurus, which is not called the Brontosaurus anymore. I don't know what it's called now. Is it Allosaurus? I don't remember the.
Yeah, I don't know. I go by Brontosaurus, and I still think Pluto's a planet. So whatever.
Yeah. You know what? We're right. And
screw them all. We're right.
They wrote that in ink. We grew up with it. That's the truth.
It was in the books.
That's in the book. It was in the book when we read books, actual books. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm gonna go with Brontosaurus. I think that's my favorite. I like the way his head goes up this way and then the tail goes there. I really like the size of it is ridiculous, and it eats grass all day, which I like. I like that it eats grass all day.
It's a dino cow.
Now that I'm unpacking it, I would imagine it's standing in its own mess, because I hadn't thought about it in those terms. It's eating grass all day. It's got to go somewhere. So.
Well, they also went for tree leaves and everything up high. So
right. I'm just saying that when we were kids, they said that they had to be in muck, right? They had to be in marshes because the weight would be so.
Yeah, I think they spent time in marshes, but I don't think they were exclusive to marshes.
So they could have walked out of marshes.
Yeah. So maybe the marshes is where it was like a latrine for them.
That's what. Maybe that's it. They just walk over.
It was already kind of nasty water and ugly over there, so just dump out and go.
Nobody go over there for a while. That's the Brontosaurus.
I love it. Joe, thank you so much for being on Pop Culture Addicts today. I want to know where our listeners can go to find out more about you, your work, and anything you've got coming up, man.
You can go to josephsanfelippo.com. And the Facebook and Instagram is Joe Sanfelippo. And then if as far as upcoming, I've got what have we got? I got some spots running for AAA on YouTube. So if anyone's telling you how good AAA is, that might be me right now. And I've got some stuff coming up for McDonald's and for Corona, and I've got a lot of steamy adult books that I'm not going to tell you guys to go find, but there's tons of them out there. And of course there's Josh's really, really great book that everyone should check out, Gyro and the Argonauts. The greatest book ever.
Loved your work on that, by the way.
Dude, that was a blast to do. And like I said, every now and then you get something where you immediately get it and you're like, oh yeah, done. And the character's done, the whole thing's done in the first 3 sentences. You got exactly what he's going for. I loved it.
Oh yeah.
And he's got a funny cadence. He's got that very much that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of.
Love the way it's written. I love his writing,
dude.
Yeah, it's the timing of his writing, the cadence, the timing of the jokes, everything, the way that, it's just well done.
I think one of the coolest things about getting to hang out with artists over time, and you don't appreciate it when you're starting because everybody's just scrambling to try and get something on, trying to get validated, trying to get something on paper.
Right. Yeah.
But I came up with Nassim Pedrad and Mikey Day and Taran Killam. They're all on SNL and Josh. When I first met Josh, he was my buddy, my wife Erin's buddy, and that's it. And we're all when you're trying to kind of build something, nobody's anybody. And then over time you get to see people. Oh, it's so cool, man. And then you look back and you go like, man, who would have thought that kid could create? Does that make sense? It's so cool.
Oh, it totally does. Yeah.
Oh,
for me, please continue.
No.
I was just gonna say, for me, it's interesting because, I met Josh because we had Dan Povenmire on the show. And Dan, we asked Dan, he was like, hey, when we got done, he's like, you guys need to talk with my writer, Josh.
Oh, and, that's so cool.
He's like, you guys would get along famously. I was like, I was like, yeah, that'd be great. I was like, sure, yeah, have him on, send him on over. And Josh has been on the show 4 times. We do a yearly update with him now, and hey, what's going on with you? What's going on? What are you doing next? So yeah, we had him on right after he won his awards, right after he got his first Doctor Who audiobook and all that stuff. And so it's been kind of cool to watch him develop over the years and things outside of Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that stuff's all great. Don't get me wrong, and he's a phenomenal writer. But the stuff that he writes for himself and these books and shows and everything, he's got a wicked sense of humor, and I just love it. I just absolutely dig his humor.
And so I love that we live in a time and a place where that somebody's got that in there, and he's got the opportunity to bring it out and
to share it with everybody,
and to realize it. Yeah, and that's really neat, man. That's really there's a tremendous gift in that. And
I agree.
It's really, and like I said, over years you watch people. You watch them struggle. You watch them try and I gotta stay on. I gotta find something, and then all of a sudden, boom, they get to do the thing. Oh, it's so cool, man.
Very much so. All right, well, Joe, I'm going to make sure that your links and your user handle for Instagram get put down in the show notes down below, so everybody can check you out. We'll put an IMDb resume in there as well as your website and your Instagram handle, so people can check you out and see what's coming up next. Okay.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I had a great time.
Thank you. And hey, guys, this seems like I don't know, just a really good opportunity to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to Pop Culture Addicts yet, this is a really good time to do so. I mean, it costs you nothing. It's a free action, much like crime.
$0? $0, Tim? Not even $1?
Not even one. Not even a peso.
$0 investment.
Absolutely. It costs you nothing. And it helps us to continue to get more guests like Joe Sanfelippo here to come on the show, have these funny moments for you to be able to listen to, and things to help make your drive home a little less murdery. So please subscribe. It helps us out more than I could really say. And be sure to check out Joe's work as well. You will not be disappointed. Go get Josh's book, Gyro and the Argonauts, on Audible. Listen to it. It's phenomenal. Joe does just some of the best narration work you're ever going to hear in your life. And his work is Gyro, Squeaky, Michael J. Fox is phenomenal. So with that being said, thank you to Joe Sanfelippo for being on the show. Thank you for all of us at Pop Culture Addicts for watching and or listening to this mess every week that you do. And until next time, may the force be with you as you continue to live long and prosper. Goodbye. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by Pop Culture Addicts. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@pcapod.com.